truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment on, the only mission of the new War Department is this: to fight for war.
That's the good part. The message from the United States Secretary of Defense. Prepare for war, and well, from their point of view, to guarantee peace, they must prepare for war, stating that the only mission of their Department of War will be to wage war, prepare for war, and prepare to win. Relentless and unyielding, he said in his statement. Well, an ambiguous statement, a statement in which, yes, at that moment he said that, and later on he said that, well, it's not that he wants war, but we have to be ready. He even put them on a diet. There can't be any fat or overweight generals, he says himself. Pidgeys also talked about how women won't be allowed in certain combat roles. There are a number of things that will surely generate controversy, but let's get to the details of the most important thing right now. The Secretary of Defense, Pidgeys, held a rather unusual meeting with high-ranking United States military officials who must prepare for the conflict. From this moment on, the only mission will be the newly restored Department of War will be to fight, says the Secretary in his speech at the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia. He refers to the name that the Trump administration uses as Department of War and not Department of Defense. Getting ready, he says, for war, and getting ready to win. Relentless, inflexible in the pursuit. Not because we want war, nobody here wants it, but because we love peace. He has reached out to the Department of Defense for comments via various media, but hasn't received a response yet. What also stands out are some of these messages that are being given right now. Let's listen. This point that Donald Trump himself mentioned, this is one of the messages he gave.
We had the horror show in Afghanistan, which I really believe is the reason why Putin went in. He saw that horror show from Biden and his team of people, and competent people, and it showed, I think that gave him an opportunity. I wasn't there anymore. I saw that, and it was so horrible. I think it was the most shameful day in the history of our country, and now we're back. That's it. We're not going to allow any of that nonsense to happen, I assure you.
Well, that's part of the first message that Donald Trump gave at this meeting, but he also said the following about the attack on Ukraine. Let's listen to this.
We met in Alaska. We had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones to Kyiv. I said, I thought we had a good meeting.
This in reference to Vladimir Putin, who meets with Alaska. But that same day, he was already bombing again in the Ukrainian capital. I thought we had a good meeting, but what Trump himself says is also noteworthy. About the conversation in Alaska, let's listen to the following.
And I said to him, you don't look well. You've been fighting in a war for 4 years that should have lasted a week. Are you a paper tiger? And it's really a great shame. But I think eventually we'll manage to do it.
Supposedly, he told Vladimir Putin that he was a paper tiger for not being able to handle Ukraine. It was supposed to be over in 1 or 2 weeks, at most. But he also makes the following comment. Listen to what Trump says about this.
With that goal in mind, I have committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026. And that's the largest amount in the history of our country. $1 trillion, that's a lot of money. I hope you like that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you like that. It's a lot of money, and we have the best of everything.
He says we have the best of everything. Will that last? Spending an impressive amount of money. They're talking about $1 trillion in investment in the army, which, well, would also show a focus on war. I mean, further militarizing the United States, focusing on a conflict. Apparently, he also sent another message about Vladimir Putin. He commented the following.
Turned out to be the most difficult of all. I'm very disappointed with him, with President Putin. I thought he would put an end to this. He should have ended that war in a week.
It should have ended in one. Well, the comment basically said that he should have ended the conflict, which obviously, well, is not going to happen. A week after arriving, he wanted the conflict to end. Obviously, months have passed and the conflict is still ongoing. He also made a statement about the nuclear submarine. Speaking of this, right now, we will talk about what's happening with submarines later in an upcoming report. But listen to what this Medvedev says.
Recently, we were somewhat threatened by Russia, and they sent a submarine, a nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever created. First of all, it can't be detected. There's no way. We are 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia is actually second in submarines, and China is third. But they're making progress. They're making progress. They're also far behind in nuclear capabilities, but in 5 years, they'll be on par. They're advancing. And you don't have to be that good at nuclear capabilities. You could have a 20th of what you have now and still cause damage that would be, something so horrendous. But he announces it, based on the fact that he mentioned nuclear, and actually it was a stupid person who works for him who mentioned the word nuclear.
You fought on me.
And 1 or 2 submarines, I won't mention the 2, towards the coast of Russia. Just to be careful, because we can't allow people to use that word. I call it the N word. There are 2 words that start with N, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And frankly, if we use it, we'll have more than anyone.
Well, there are 2 N-words you can't use. I mean the word nuclear. And then the word that refers to the African American community, which is an insult, at least the way it's used over there, is used as an insult. The thing here is that it refers to the comment made by Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president, about the use of nuclear weapons by Russia. A nuclear threat, basically, that happened a few days ago. Donald Trump also claimed that they are 25 years ahead of Russia and China in nuclear technology.
Well,
that's Trump's opinion. Is it really like that? Also, another comment that stands out is the following. Let's listen to the next comment. The topic at this moment was very extensive. President Trump also said that he could immediately fire generals if he doesn't like them. In fact, he said, I don't even have to review their record. If I see them and I don't like a general, I fire him right then and there. The president said today, Tuesday, that he will immediately remove United States military leaders if he considers them unfit. This increases tension in civil relations. Military before the high-profile meeting with these senior officers. In statements to reporters in the White House garden before traveling to Quantico, Virginia, Trump said, I will meet with generals, admirals, and leaders. And if I don't like someone, I'll fire them on the spot. The comments came before the unusual in-person meeting with official military events. Americans called from around the globe. The meeting day described by the White House as a spirit of the core event was also used by Trump and the Secretary of Defense or War, Pete Hegseth, to announce new radical cultural and structural changes in military policy, including drastic measures. For example, in the standards of grooming, physical military attitude, exercise, and diet. But even also in certain related topics, for example, who can be a woman or who cannot be a woman? Are women going to be limited to certain types of topics in the military area? There will definitely be reactions. Right? Maybe something else could be said privately, but not in public messages. This is, up to now, the most important thing happening over there in Virginia, in the United States. Later on, we'll do another update on this topic. A much anticipated message. This visit of 800 generals, more than 800 generals and commanders and admirals from all over the world visiting the United States. Obviously, the soldiers are American generals returning from their positions in the United States.
Stop.
Well, all these messages, which have basically been political messages and not so much organizational ones, but well, that's how Trump handles it. We'll move on to other information in just a moment.